Senator Capito, you're next in line.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got my own questions, but very quickly. First of all, on the MATS rule, which was $9.8 billion estimated per year, when you were in your prior time at the EPA, the Supreme Court stayed EPA's Clean Power Plan and found that the EPA had not properly justified the MATS rule. So the EPA recently finalized and reinstated, and the chairman was touting the results. What people did was went ahead and did it and then found out it wasn't a firm foundation of which that rule was created. And you're using a very similar and overly broad interpretation of the statute. Again, we feel. Do you think this broad interpretation of the statute will fare any better in the courts this time?
Well, I believe that the determination we made that it's appropriate and necessary to regulate mercury and other air toxics from the power sector is consistent with our legal authority.
Yeah, I don't think that was the question. I don't think that was the problem, though. It was that you hadn't taken the full array of that's correct, right?
Of cost, yeah.
Yes.
We in what the Supreme Court told us is that our interpretation of the statute, which was that we had to look at the mercury question without looking at cost, was wrong.
Right.
And that we were not required to exclude cost, and that within the meaning of the statute, we needed to take account of cost.
So I'm going to go because I know we're going to be voting.
Yeah.
But I would hope that you can't just keep overly picking and choosing what parts of the law that you have to take into consideration. I think the Supreme Court has supported that policy, and that's why those two either got stayed or taken down. The one thing I would say is part of the discussion here on retirements of plans of coal plants or natural gas. According to PJM, those are policy-driven. A lot of those, most power plant retirements are policy-driven. So I just want to make that point. Next point I wanted to make is, first of all, I should have said this at the beginning. Green school buses are great. We actually got a Green Power, which is a manufacturer of green school buses, in our state. So I will say that is those 35 or so jobs are welcome in our state, and we actually have just completed a pilot study in one of our hillier regions on a electric bus, and it was successful. So good for that. Last question on the Good Neighbor Plan. You've included other sources besides what the original Casper plan, which was just the power sector. So you've got cement and cement production, iron and steel, glass and glass products, chemical manufacturing, pulp and paper, paperboard, et cetera, et cetera. We are hearing daily about supply chain shortages. We're hearing about Buy America that's becoming problematic. That's in the IIJA and other kinds of things. And so with these bottlenecks, with this kind of onerous regulation on a new sector, the industrial sector, and I asked you about this before, how is this going to help with the domestic production of our own domestic that we need for semiconductors and we need for everything that we want to build in this country?
I think I hope you realize that set of questions is compelling to the administration and to the agency as well. Just a few things. The federal courts have weighed in, including the Supreme Court, several times about how to implement the good neighbor provisions, and we are really doing our best to follow what the courts have told us the boundaries of our legal authority and obligation are. Second, we're focusing on requirements that are based on what the sources in the same sectors are already using in some states to control NOx emissions. And third, the question you raised has come to us in comments since we issued the Good Neighbor proposal, and we're focusing on finding ways to address those questions when we finalize the Good Neighbor proposal.
Good. I mean, like I said on the earlier response, time will tell on that. Thank you very much. I would say anecdotally, If you have a provision that's directly going to affect just my state of West Virginia, I would expect you to come and tell me that in advance. I don't think that's an unreasonable request from Senator Sullivan. Thank you.